Midnight Double Feature presents Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. On this episode, we bring you Season 4, Episode 1, Box Cutter, written by Vince Gilligan and directed by Adam Bernstein. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another season of Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. Wow, we're excited to be back. Thank you for holding out in our little hiatus there. I'm here with my main man, Colin. As always, Colin, what's happening, baby?
Not a lot, man. Not a lot. Just hanging out, enjoying the day off today. We've we're finally able to record, to sit down and bang out an episode, which I'm excited about. And I'm excited to get back into Breaking Bad because not only do I want to finish like our podcast, but I want to finish the fucking show. Like I still haven't gotten to finish this yet because, as you guys know, if you've listened to it by now, we take these episode by episode and I don't really know what's happening next, minus some key details that just got ruined by cultural, osmosis. But yeah, I'm excited. I had to actually do like a season 1, 2, and 3 recap on YouTube because I'm not watching every season again. I'm not doing that. But I sat down and just did like a recap, and I remembered like most of it. Like it did take me a second, like when her sister shows up with the medical bills, and I was like, oh fuck, what is this about? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. They're paying for Hank's thing. Like it took me a second to like, okay. But it's
all right,
nice,
baby. We'll get you back in the swing of things. You know, it's like riding a bike. Mm-hmm. It's like riding a bike.
Or cooking some meth, you know?
There you go. Well, yeah, man, this is gonna be good. This is a good season of TV. And I'm excited for us to jump into this proper. I don't know if you're joining us here in season 4, episode 1 for the first time on Bad Crystal. I don't know why you're doing it. I don't know why you're joining us here for the first time, but hello, I'm Zoheb. That's Colin. We're going to go through this episode of Breaking Bad, and we're going to be breaking it down. We're going to be going through it sequentially. We're going to be talking spoilers. So obviously, if you haven't seen the show, I don't know why you're here, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I'm just going to break it down anyway. Colin has not seen this show. I have seen this show quite a few times, so I did not need to watch a season 1, 2, and 3 recap. I knew exactly what Marie was trying to palm off to Skyler just then. So yeah, man, like this is going to be good, and this has been quite a fun project for us, and I think it's exciting because if you're not a listener to Midnight Double Feature, what you won't know is that Breaking Bad, or Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast, started off once as our side project, and now it is actually our main project. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because we probably won't have massive hiatuses. Sorry, Colin. This balloon is like hovering over like my camera. I'm gonna keep like that's in the recording, so that's fine. Whatever. It's just because like I have the air conditioning on, so and like there's this like balloon that's like floating around the room.
Like, does he have like video effects on? Like, who is he trying to impress?
No. But yeah, man, like we're gonna continue cracking on with Bad Crystal. And we're going to be a bit more consistent with it now because we have now sort of like reallocated our efforts to different things. So we've stopped or paused our movie coverage on our main feed, which is Midnight Double Feature, which will still be available. So if you are a listener to Midnight Double Feature, you can definitely keep listening to those episodes. They'll always be there. But in terms of like future recording, we're going to be banging these out, and then we're sliding into our next show, which is called, Colin, what is it called?
This Thing of Ours, a Sopranos podcast presented by Midnight Double Feature.
There you go, baby. The Sopranos. So, yeah, man, I don't know. We love our strong male leads who are tortured and demented,
Hmm.
and I guess we're just ready to dive into the goat, Tony Soprano. So once we wrap up Bad Crystal here, if we do talk Saul, whatever, we're not going to start having conversations about that yet. We probably will end up covering the movie El Camino, because
Hmm.
it's just a sort of like a it ties everything off pretty well. But yeah, man, like that's pretty much it. That's the reintroduction to this show. So welcome one and all if you're listening. And now I'm gonna just really quickly recap. So the last season basically ended with Walt and Jesse just sort of like being put into this position where they felt like they needed to kill Gale, and the reason for that is because Gus Gus was essentially attempting to replace Walt, to kill Walt, and have Gale recreate the crystal blue that Walt manufactures so well. And unfortunately, it was Jesse who, at the end of the season, there pulled the trigger on Gale.
Hmm.
Um, and it was a hell of a cliffhanger. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
Hell of a
absolutely. I
cliffhanger.
was excited to jump back into this because I know that that was just going to be such a defining moment for obviously Gail, but then also Jesse. And I remember, I think last
Hmm.
season when we left off, I was like, I don't know if he actually. I could see Jesse like intentionally not shooting him, and you're like, oh no, he's dead. He's dead as fuck. And I was like, okay, well that's all that. So I knew this was going to be a huge moment for Jesse's character as well as Walt.
This is and you can absolutely we're going to dive into this episode proper now, but we'll go through and I will point out, and I know you've noticed as well because you're quite good at like judging characters in films and TV shows. Like you can see how shooting Gus in the face has affected Jesse, and also witnessing the murder in this episode has affected
Oh,
Jesse. There's like
Gail, sorry.
little, sorry, yes, shooting Gale,
It's
yeah.
like holy shit.
Uh, but yeah, you can definitely see how that's sort of like really rubbed off on him in this episode, especially when they're in the diner at the end.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, let's get into this. So, what did you think of this premiere episode of season 4? This is, in my opinion, one of the more memorable episodes of this show. It is probably tied for my favorite season premiere out of 5.
Nice. No, yeah, I liked it a lot. I was excited to like pick back up from where from where we'd left off. And I was really because honestly, like if there's I wouldn't say Gail's an innocent person because he cooks meth, for a huge like drug empire. But I think that nobody wants to see Gale die. Like he's one of the few characters that I think a lot of people are like, yeah, he seems very nice. He's educated. He's not, he's a very sweet dude. Kind of seems like a bit of like, well, always walking around with like the fucking Birkenstocks on, the sandals, and he smokes hookah.
A bit of a
And
pussy. Bit
yeah,
of a
like
pussy.
he's kind of like he's almost like the dude. He sits around and like is a very free spirited, and he has like this hookah around. He dies on a magnificent rug. Like it's very. He reminds me kind of like the dude a little bit, and he's a little good, but he just seems so out of place in this world of the Gusses and the Waltz and the Jessies and the Tukos. Like he definitely seems out of place. So it kind of like doesn't make sense that he died for that reason, but I think I get it from a sense of like, man, you really don't belong in this world. And like you really do not belong here. And like you're a great chemist, but you're not like, Walt is a great chemist and just a conniving, manipulative, insane 3D chess type of person. And Gail, I just don't think morally has that in him. So I think it's interesting that he's like one of the big deaths on the show when it's like, yeah, you don't belong here. Someone like Tuco dying, cool. Someone like other characters like who have died, like fucking Kristen Ritter's character Jane.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't really surprise me. But Gail just really felt like, man, I hate to see that, like I really do. And I think this is a great way to kick it off. I love the fact that most of it takes place in one location. I love that. I always love like movies that do it. Night of the Living Dead, The Thing, those one shot, The Man from Earth, like all stay in one room the whole time. And yeah, we get a little bit of cutting like in and out, but the majority of our story is just three guys waiting in a fucking room, and it's like, and it's still captivating as all get out. And I think that really speaks to how Vince Gilligan in the talent that he has behind the show. Quick trivia, by the way. So if you ever listen to our main feed or anything, you guys know I'm a huge fan of The Whitest Kid You Know, the sketch comedy troupe. They have a great sketch called Abraham Lincoln. Funny sketch. It's like decades old at this point. And Vince Gilligan is a huge fan of Whitest Kids You Know and loves that sketch in particular. And Abe Lincoln in the sketch is yelling at these actors, and he goes, "Hey, acty, acty!" And Zach Kreger, who directed Barbarian, said on a live stream, he's like, "Yeah, Vince Gilligan was going to put our TV show in Breaking Bad. He was going to have Walt Jr.
Oh
like
wow,
watching it." And he said he would yell at Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul as Acty from then on. He'd go, "Hey, Acty, Acty," and like would yell at him like from that sketch.
that's great.
So it was pretty cool. I'm a big Whitest Kids
I
fan. I
wonder.
like the show. It was a cool little crossover.
I wonder when if they were gonna have Walt watch the show. I wonder when they were gonna do it. It's not like he's always having breakfast or something. Like like it's. Oh man. No, that's awesome. I think that this is a very pivotal episode in the show. Like I think this is a very not so much for Walt, interestingly, but for Jesse and for Gus. Like this is a huge Jesse episode, and I know that's very sort of like that might be overstating it because like like there's barely any dialogue in this episode, but I mean like this is a huge one for Jesse, especially because like it's interesting to see how he reacts to murdering someone, like
Hmm.
literally as close of a murder as you can get. Like you know what I mean? Like it's not even like he put cyanide in someone's coffee and like didn't watch them drink it, like you know what I mean. He
Hmm.
point blank shot him in the face and like watched him die. Um so like for Jesse to kind of have this sort of aftermath where somebody is killed because of his direct actions, it's such an interesting watch, and it really, I think, something changes in him.
Hmm.
um and also we are introduced to, in my opinion, the real Gus. So we have seen Gus be very intense, be very threatening, be very conniving, be very cold and calculated. But we've never seen him sort of really get his hands dirty until now. Like, we've never really seen him assert his dominance quite like this. Usually he's kind of using henchmen. Usually he's kind of like one step removed, because he wants to maintain that distance. Like because he is a smart drug lord.
Hmm. Hmm.
But here he's very much boots on the ground. I'm going to make a statement, and when he nicks Victor's neck. That's quite
It's hard
some
to say.
alliteration. When he nicks Victor's neck and he's kind of holding the wound open and he's maintaining eye contact with Jesse and Walt, it is like, oh, this guy's legit. Like, no,
Hmm.
these two, especially Walt, has never brushed up against anything like this. And the interesting thing is, Walt, until that moment, thought that he had a card to play. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
he thought that because he got Gale killed, there was a card that they played and they now have the upper hand. But no, as Morgan Freeman says in Seven, John Doe has the upper hand.
Hmm.
It's Gus who has all the cards here, and I think that's really, um, I think this is, in terms of table setter episodes, this is way up there. I'm a big fan of this episode, especially in the way it's shot. You know, when we go, we'll get to it. We'll get to the actual box cutter scene, but like this, you get this big overhead shot when Gus is sort of like going over to the table to like find whatever tool he can. There's just such a great sense of place. Like every character is like placed in their own spot, but like we the audience know where everyone is. We like even the colors are just goddamn beautiful. Like I mean, I was doing a bit of reading and like you know, Walt is shrouded in blue. um Gus is wearing red, and then like the colors of like the containers with the yellow, so like all you have all these like bright primary colors,
Mm.
which we're sort of like trained as human beings to tell us are bright, happy colors, but it's contrasted by this like gruesome as fuck death. It's just really clever filmmaking, and I'm a big fan of this episode, man. So what do you say we jump into this shit?
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
Awesome. So we open on this flashback as the super lab is being put together by Gale. Interestingly, the super lab was initially intended for Gale and not for Walt. So, like, Gus Gus had not at this point brought Walt into his organization. It's so funny because Gus, if you think about that, Gus was cunning enough to let Walt think that the lab was for him. Like, do you remember when he brought Walt down there into the super lab and Walt kind of assumed that this was all for him, like that this was for, like literally just built for him to
Hmm.
cook meth.
His bat cave, his
Gus,
meth cave.
exactly. Gus let him believe that. Like Gus didn't say that it was for him. He let him believe that and sort of like really inflated Walt's ego, which is
Mm.
exactly who Walt is. I mean, Walt is such a prideful person that like there's really no other option. It must be for him. Um, we get this quick shot of the box cutter here, a little bit of foreshadowing. I wrote here Pfizer is mentioned.
Yeah.
uh, I doff my proverbial cap to you, sir.
Oh God.
Gale Gale sees this super lab and he's all bricked up.
Well,
He's just
like I love these like science nerds and geeks, but like, is there not a part of you that's like, dude, this guy has watched people like probably be cut up with chainsaws and shot people in the head, and he's probably done all. If Gus is at the top of this empire, this dude has killed or watched people be so, and it's like you're in the presence of somebody who's has committed and has seen horrible amounts of violence, and I would not be the one like, good day madam, like a Reddit user, you know what I mean, like tapping the fedora. I'm like, Gus, come on, man. I think sometimes they just get so bricked up for the chemistry that they fucking forget why they're there in the first place and who their boss is. And it's like, this is not a guy that I would want to get chummy with, you know? Like, I would want to have a strict professional, like, yes, Mr. Frink, shake your hand, go to work, don't talk anymore. Like, that be it.
it's funny you say that because I was trying to figure out like why is being so jaunty with him, and I
Hmm.
feel like Gale at this point in this flashback is chummy with Gus because he hasn't really figured out Gus yet. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't really know who this drug like the level of like violence or danger that he might be in, because when he asks, oh, when will it be ready, he's like, oh, we'll be ready in a month, and then he starts to get intimidated and he's like, oh yeah, 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So like I feel like he's very quickly here trying to he's about to like it's a little bit of like
He's
fuck
testing the
around and find
waters.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he ran a sample of Walt's meth. He says it's quite good, which Gail mentions. The competition is this competition. We have our work cut out for us. And Gus says, "How pure can pure be in relation to Walt's meth? Like he's fine. He's fine with Gail's meth, right?" But I love this little look in on Gus and his sort of like lack of knowledge about the product itself, right? Like, I mean, we know Gus to be extremely proficient. He's a strict businessman, but here we're kind of given this. a look in at this sort of weakness, right? He doesn't know, or he doesn't appreciate the purity of Walt's meth,
Hmm.
which I thought was very interesting.
Right. Like, and I think it's you that part of that could be from somebody who Gus, who has definitely never partaken in this product before. And I don't think he think, oh, they're junkies. They don't care about that 3 and 4%
Right.
difference. And it's like, no, but your avid fan base, your people who are buying this in ounces and stuff will, and that will be the difference too. Is that they'll have the best saying you have the best product on the market is undeniable. You know, it is not. Yeah, it's good, but it's not the best. And that's somebody that look at what Gus the money and the time and the blood, sweat, and tears he's put into all of this. Is this somebody who seems like he really wants to settle for 3 or 4% less? I don't think so.
Right.
You know, and it's not
Right.
even a fact of like money or it's like I think there is a bit of Gus with that ego where he's like, I can't like that just irritates me because he only wants and does business with the best, you know, and it's like to have somebody dangling that 3 or 4% over your head, I can see that bothering him deep down.
Definitely. So Gale says he's proud to be offering a figure of 96% pureness. Waltz is 99%, could be a little bit more. He says the last 3% is a lot. It's a tremendous gulf. And Gale is very curious. He wants to know who synthesized the meth. Gus says that the person who synthesized it wants to work with him, but is not a professional. And Gale says, if he's not, I don't know what that makes me. His is the best I've ever seen, hands down, and I know that you want the best. And we end the flashback on Gus taking this advice. He takes the advice in as Victor moves to open the rest of the boxes, right? So, again, just like there's a little bit of foreshadowing here. Victor's opening these boxes very much like how he's about to cook the meth in real time.
Hmm.
And then we cut to the title card. And as soon as the title card ends, bam! You know, we kick right off where we left off with Jesse pulling the trigger on Gale. We get this 911 call, these random shots of Gale's apartment. I love the pan up to the kettle on the stove with the bullet in it.
Yeah. Oh, I
That's
did
like,
have one question. So
yes,
because
please.
Jesse is really doing this, if I remember correctly, Jesse is really doing most of this in defense of Walt, right? Because they're not really
Yes.
coming after Jesse. They just want Walt.
Right,
Um,
exactly. Yep,
which
yep.
I love that
Walt essentially, I'm not going to say gaslighted Jesse to go do this, but Walt
put a lot of pressure
really
on him. Yeah.
he leaned on Jesse to get him to protect him. Yeah.
And God, it's just like oh my God, it's like Jesse, and I don't know if he ever finds out, but imagine Jesse knowing it's like, yeah, and also I watched Jane die, and it's like, oh, like you're saving the life of a man who watched your love just drown. Like, oh God, dude, part of me hopes that all gets figured out. Part of me really does, but I don't know. I really hope though.
I'm holding my cards close to the chest.
Fucking bitch.
It's one of those moments of like why I really enjoy the format of this show.
I just Google it. You're
uh,
like, hey,
don't you fucking dare,
don't you
motherfucker!
fucking.
I know too much has been spoiled for you through
Mhm.
osmosis. So don't go looking. Anyway, so Victor arrives at the apartment and enters. Mister, this is a crime scene. You don't want to touch anything. And we see that Gail's been shot right beneath the left eye. I don't know what, like, if there is any significance of that, but like, I just thought that was a very cool visual that he was shot like right under the eyelid. Um, I don't
Damn.
know. It was. I just remember seeing like that was when I first saw that. I was like, man, like that's wild. I've never seen that kind of like,
Mm.
yeah,
He's a interesting guy. He's a Marxist, which I thought was interesting. There's a lot of books in the background on
yeah,
Marxism.
yep,
He's reading Everything's Eventual by Stephen King. Good book. One of the the first like out of focus book that you see, but definitely a. I feel like
deserve
this
to
is a
die.
guy that people in his college would be like, Gail cooks meth. Like he's this like
Right.
hookah, sandals, blah blah blah, and it's like, dude, who you are is in very direct
Well, he was like,
opposition of
whoa.
what you do. Yeah, right. Well, I don't know. I even
His
feel like with Walt, maybe yeah, I think like pussy ass Walter, the way that most people know him, because it's hard for me because we all know really who Walt is at this point.
Sure.
But the outside world is like Walt. You're talking about the high school teacher that like total pushover, and it's like no, and that's not even the first thing I would think of because like Gail is just such more of this like hippie, free spirited kind of vibe that it's just like that's what I said. He feels so out of place in this world that like it almost makes sense that he dies. I know that sounds crazy,
Mm.
but there's just this bit of man, you really do not belong here. Like Walt seems a little out of place, but you seem like way, 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 way out there. Like you don't need to be here at all.
I get what you're saying, especially because Gail is so like softly spoken and polite. You know what I mean? Like Walt is not what Walt started like that, and like really as all of this kind of like went along, Walt's true nature just kind of like rose to the surface. But like Gail always stayed polite. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like Gail always stayed sort of like softly spoken.
Hmm.
Um, so back at the lab, Walt is sitting with Mike, who's holding a gun in his hand. Dude, I missed Mike so much. Mike is one of my favorite characters, and as soon as I seen him this episode, I'm like, oh, we are back, man. Yeah,
Hmm.
we're so back.
Well, and it's crazy to see
um,
him even slightly flustered at points where he's like, "Shit," and I'm like,
dude,
"Oh."
twice this episode, twice.
Mhm, mhm. What is this actor's name? He's on Community and Beverly Hills Cop. Mike's
Uh,
Matt
it's
Jeremy
always no, it's it always escapes me. His name is Jonathan Banks.
Jonathan Banks. Okay,
Jonathan
gotcha.
Banks.
Such a
He's
good
awesome.
actor. I love him.
Oh, dude, such a good actor. By the way, Better Call Saul, and I know I've mentioned this a few times. Better Call Saul is half of his show.
Mhm.
Like Jonathan, it's basically half Jonathan Banks, half Better Call Saul, half Saul Goodman.
That's dope.
Um, yeah. So back at the lab, Walt is sitting with Mike, like I said, and then Jesse arrives with Victor still holding him at gunpoint. Victor's pissed, right? He kicks over this equipment as he confirms to Mike that Gail is dead. And Walt looks at Jesse, right? Because he overhears Victor give confirmation that Gail is dead. And Walt looks relieved. Mike panics, right? Like you said, this is the only time you'll ever see Mike panic, which is super telling. Like it
Mhm.
really tells us like that this like whatever Mike was, what like was he like a CIA badass SEAL Team 6 kind of guy back in the day? Like if, for something to scare the shit out of him, like that's when you know it's legit, you know?
Right, right.
Um Victor confirms that he was seen by people at the apartment, and he's like, just another looky Lou. And then we end
Not
the scene
good.
with Mike presumably calling Gus.
Mhm. No, I love well, and I thought it was interesting Victor coming in and kicking over the equipment at first because I'm like, is he just like really good friends with Gail? Like, why is he so mad about this? Like it's not your problem to solve. Like they played a card. It's not you're the muscle. You know, you just do whether it's the right call or the wrong call. You're just the muscle. You know, like you do what you're told, basically. Like I don't see Victor calling any of the shots in anything. You know, he just seems like a, for lack of a better term, like an upper henchman, I guess. Um, and I think that now upon watching it again is like, oh, he's pissed because he knows A, it was your job to keep Gail protected. You were supposed to be there. B, you got saw at the
Scene.
scene. You
Yep.
left your car there because you went with Jesse back. It's like, dude, yeah, I think this explains a lot of like why Gus kills him is because it's like, yeah, you fucked up.
I think that second point, that the fact that he was seen at the apartment is the bigger one.
Mm,
Um, because uh because Gus essentially when he kills Victor gets rid of a loose end.
mm.
You know what I mean?
No,
Like
absolutely.
the first point that you mentioned is pure punishment, right? Like the first point that you mentioned about him fucking up, that's punishment. That is what it is. That can or cannot happen. However, him being seen at the apartment, that has to happen. He has to go because he's now a threat to Gus's organization in terms of being identified.
Right. Right.
So back at the White residence, it's Marie and Skylar. Marie gives Skylar Hank's medical bills. They seem to be getting bigger instead of smaller. Marie asks Skylar about her and Walt being back together because his car's in the driveway. She says, "I'm not pressing, I just think it's great." And Skylar, of course, looks confused as Marie leaves, and she checks the driveway only to see that Walt's car is indeed still parked there. She looks around, checks inside the house, and Walt's definitely not in there. She then gets in his car, moves it a few blocks, and parks it away. Parks it. And walks back to the house. When she gets back, Walt Jr. Of course, wants breakfast because that's all he does. Back at the lab, the quad wait for Gus in silence until Walt starts talking. "Shut up," says Victor.
Yeah.
Walt tells, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to continue. So Walt tells them they'll need to start cooking to keep Gus's schedule, and that forfeiting a batch might make him angrier. He pleads with Mike to cook. Isn't this what this whole thing is about? Victor gets up, turns on the machines, prepares the cook, and interestingly, he does it well. He's been observing Walt, he's been observing Jesse and Gail, and it turns out he's quite the observer. You know, he says, "We ain't missing no cook." What did you think about this? What did you think about Victor doing the cook and doing it well?
Well, I would even argue, like, I don't know if there's any evidence that he is actually doing it well. Like, I think that he's doing it, because especially when he starts pouring that clear liquid into it's like spilling on and there's like splash over, and it's like, dude, you're being really sloppy. Like, even I, from an outside point of view, is like, you're being kind of sloppy, dude. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think you're supposed to be doing
from
that.
your meth cooking days, from your
Yeah, like we always said in the restaurant industry, because people would say, I would, I'd say, "Oh, I'm a cook," and they're like, "Well, you're a chef." I'm like, "No, I am a cook. A cook cooks a recipe that has already been made. A chef creates the recipe." Like, and that's why, like, in restaurants, it is a big deal when they say, "Yes, chef," like, the bear or whatever. Like, that is a big deal. Like, you're not a chef until you start making your own recipes. So, but it's like Gus can. I think that it's arrogant and assumptive. I don't know if that's the right word. Of Victor to think that, oh, I can replace Walt. Like, as long as I just follow these steps just fine, it won't really matter. And the stuff that Walt starts rattling off of, like, yeah, what happens when you hit a problem, and it's this and it's that, and it's like, you know how to do it if it goes right, but you don't know what to do if something goes wrong. And that's why it takes Gus years to find somebody like Gail and Walt, and somebody who is up to snuff professionally. They're not going to walk in a crime scene and where there's a shooting. They're not going to leave their car, all this other shit. And to Victor, it's like, you couldn't keep one guy alive. What makes you think I can trust you with all of my my meth empire, basically? So I think that there's parts of, like, yeah, he has the, like, because I don't know if they ever actually work with the batch that Victor produces. I would be interested to see how it came out. Like, I doubt, but it's not hitting 96. It's not hitting 99. There's no way. I don't think there's any way that Victor's hitting those numbers. And like Gail said, that 96 is a harder number. That 99, that little gap, is important to people like Walt and Gus, but it's not important to somebody like Victor. Like, Victor might be like the hammer that drives the nail in, but he's not the architect that builds the plan. And I think that's the most important thing when it comes to this dynamic is, the fact that he's not locked in. He's not professional. He lets himself get seen. Um, and not only that, but he's just following the instructions. He's just a tool. He's not the architect.
That's a very good point. When I say that he did it well, I meant that he's just ticking off the steps, right? Like, he knows the
Hmm.
steps. That's what I mean. Because like when Walt is like, "I bet he forgets the aluminum," and like he goes back and he doesn't forget the aluminum, like that. I'm just like, oh, so he is sort of like, he has memorized the way to do it. Whether he does it well, up for debate, and the jury's still out. But yeah,
Right. You'll get
um,
meth, but it's not going to be the meth.
Right. So where do we go? We switch over to Saul's office, and we're introduced to this character, Huel Babineau. So Huel is Saul's bodyguard, for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
Um, Huel and his two foreheads we're introduced to. Dude, this I'm no physical specimen. This guy's built like a 1 by 1 Lego piece. Like he is just like
Yeah,
he is
he puts the body in bodyguard. That's a big ass dude.
it's he's breathing. He's breathing, dude, as the receptionist is just like staring at him. It reminds me of that scene in The Simpsons when Homer's got that little whistle in his nose in the church.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh man. Skyler calls the office. The receptionist walks in, and Saul's just on on all fours, like scanning the office for bugs. Like he's oh man, like I miss these characters so much. Um, Skyler tells him that she's called everywhere. He says, "I'm sure he's fine." And I love the cut to just Saul like calling him back from an outside payphone. It's like he's so he's so paranoid now. I think not just from like police contact or anything like that, but like from Gus. I think
yeah.
he's
Hmm.
just very like he's just very much on edge. Um, he carpools to his job at a meth lab. Whoa, you're a chatty Cathy today. I didn't catch
Yeah.
that last bit.
Saul is the embodiment for just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. I love that saying. Like, just
Yeah,
because you're being overcautious doesn't mean it's for a bad reason.
yeah, there you go. And he guarantees that Walt is fine. Skylar goes to Walt's apartment, tries buzzing but no answer, calls the locksmith who tells her that he can't open the door without proving that she lives there. And man, Anna Gunn is great here in this scene because she uses Holly to her advantage. She's like, my medication, I bet it's gone. Now, not this. I got to call the pharmacy. And she's like handing Holly to the locksmith. And she's like full, like hyperventilating, like this medical episode. Like this, she's a man. It's like, because Walt we know is a liar, and she obviously doesn't go to the levels of lying that Walt does, but she can pull it out. She's got it in her arsenal.
Well, sure, yeah, as much as I love like this kind of showing a side of Skylar that again can really like play the part and be manipulative and stuff. Part of me goes like, but to what end? Like, it'd be one thing if she found something in Walt's car or like condo, because I was thinking, oh, she's gonna find something that like kind of beefs up the story, and it was just like, no, basically this whole B plot could have been dropped and it wouldn't it wouldn't affect
Right.
anything. And I was like, still though, it's like it's good character development for if not anything else.
Yeah, I think it's showing us. I think it's showing us that she still really cares for Walt, right? I mean, like she's still like just the lengths that she's going to find him. Uh,
Now, let me ask
like
you this: Do you? Sorry,
mm,
go ahead.
no, 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 you go.
I was going to say, do you think that it's that she really cares about Walt, or now because she starts getting, you can tell her nipples are getting hard sometimes over this shit, over this whole meth empire thing, and I can't tell if it's like, I think that part of it is definitely the money. I think a lot of it is the money. That's why she gives a shit, because then Marie's going to start asking questions, can't pay Hank's medical bill, something's going on. I think it's more or less at this point more about I think that it's, part of it is about Walt. I'd say it's like 70-30, 60-40. I think it's mostly about when's the next check coming in. And now that this benefactor is not here, I'm starting to get a little bit worried.
I think you've located something that I can't
Women
specify.
are greedy whores. Thank you, Zoe. No, I'm just
There,
kidding.
there you go. They're all after our money. She wants 50%. No,
Mhm.
I think you've really sort of like, um, yeah, you've really located something that I wasn't going to bring up because it's not something that is like overtly made throughout the show, but it's very clear that like Walt is bringing in some money, dude. Walt is bringing in some
Mhm.
cheddar, And not only is it greed, but it's also, as you said, the fear of being found out. You know, the
Sure.
fear,
Yeah.
the fear of being found out by Marie of all people. Um,
Yeah. Well, and they've got
yeah,
one kid with, is it CP? Is it cerebral palsy? Is that what he has?
he's got MS.
Oh, CP sounds like child porn. No, I just realized that's what they call, like, it went on YouTube, like true crime stuff. They can't say that on YouTube, so they always say
Oh, really?
CP, and I was like, oh shit, no, CP's not. That's not the right thing. Yeah, he's got MS, and then you have a toddler, and then a husband who has cancer, and then your brother's a DEA agent. And, it's like holy shit, yeah, it's starting to get
And your sister's a
um
kleptomaniac.
right, yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that she's got a lot of weight on her shoulders, for sure.
Definitely. Um, so hard cut to the lock being opened. Oh, you're a lifesaver. She talks about the bill, dude. Did you catch her like getting the bill sent to Walt's place? She's like,
Yeah.
"Well, you do know where I live, right?"
Don't send that shit to me. All right, see you
Right.
later.
Skylar searches Walt's place. She finds the bear eye that fell from the plane, and
Mhm.
I just love that it's still sort of like rattling around in his like drawer, because like it's just his past that will always sort of like be with him, like it's never going away.
Right.
Um, and Marie pulls up to her house, takes a moment in the car. She's considering something here. Like, did you catch this? Like, she pulls up to her house in her driveway, but she takes a few moments before she goes in and says hi to Hank. And I think it's a little bit of this, like, she's getting over it a little bit, or she's kind of like steeling herself to be positive because she knows
Mhm.
that Hank's going to be this very beaten and broken person. What did you think about that? That little moment she takes in the driveway.
Oh, no, I love it because if you've ever been around somebody who's, like, sick and you're having to, like, help take them to doctor's appointments and help, get them in and out of the tub or help them get off the toilet, like, those rightfully so, they can be unpleasant people at times, and that's not, trying to be a dick about anything, like, it's just justifiably, like, they're not very pleasant to be around at that time. So I definitely get it. There's times where it's like, you've really got to steel yourself and kind of get your ducks in a row before you go in there because it's like, you've got to be the adult at points, like, and helping people and understand, like, not take things personally, not take things, so emotionally. You have to understand, like, the headspace this person's in.
Mm. I thought it was a very nice touch. Like they could
Me
have just
too.
had Marie. They just could have had Marie just walking through the door and that's it. But
Hmm.
yeah, fantastic. She walks inside the minerals. Right, Hank's bidding on minerals. This is one of my favorite things in this show. Is Jesus Christ, the minerals, Marie. Because she always keeps calling them rocks. She doesn't. He doesn't say that this episode, but like that was definitely a meme. When this show was airing, it was Jesus Christ, the minerals. Um, this is, Hank's betting on minerals. He's got a 5 o'clock shadow, dude. He looks miserable, right? He's going to PT. Marie's trying to be positive. She says she likes a new therapist. She asks him to tell her about it. I heard you broke new ground today, right? And that irritates Hank. He says, I walked 16 feet in 20 minutes, which is up from 15 and a half from yesterday. And I had this much less shit in my pants today. Dude,
I mean,
like,
that is progress.
it is something. And he's just like, new ground. Did you guys take a collective vote and change the definition of new ground? She says, you ordering a new rock? Which, um, and it's so sad when he asks for the thing, right? Like the look on his face. This is humiliating to him, even if it's only in front of Marie. Hank is such a proud guy, and like him not being able to look after himself is just agonizing for himself.
Hmm. Which I never understand. It's like, if I'm him, I'm like, yeah, I got fucking shot. So oh no, I have to shit in a bucket for a while. It's like, you could be fucking dead, my friend. Like, I
Mm.
never understood that. For like, I don't know, like, there's always, and I know it's hard in that moment of the pain and the medications and the doctors, and like, you put yourself in that headspace and eventually you're going to get sick of it. But I feel like there would just be that underlining, like, man, I'm lucky I'm not fucking dead. You know, like that. Like, oh my god, man! Like, I think that's something that between Hank and Walt, that they have a problem at times of not assessing the positive with they only see like a negative kind of, and a lot of it comes from pride. I think that they can't look at it like when Skyler kind of sells Walter out to Marie and says that he's a gambler and that he, oh, this poor degenerate, dumb, stupid, and he can't take that. But he can't say, "Oh, hey, cool. Well, here's a solution that makes everybody happy. So what if I have to kind of be a jackass?" He can't tolerate that. And I'm like, you got to, man, if it's a way out and all you have to sacrifice is a little pride, fuck it, man. There's a lot more on the line than pride.
I think in Hank's case, it comes from a place of, at one point he believed that he was the alpha male, and
Hmm.
he got put in his place by people who he considers to be beneath him, and
Hmm.
now that's like that he's coping with that, like, sort of like realization of where he is in the pecking order, to like this, like that's all stemming from this, which is a situation that he shouldn't be in, or that he doesn't want to be in, obviously. But yeah, no, it's very interesting talking about the psychology of this, because I initially did not love Hank's sort of like fall from alpha maleness, but
Hmm.
I've really come to appreciate it, because it really it's really interesting, like how they deal um with his personality moving forward.
Hmm.
But
Sure. Yeah.
back at the lab, Victor continues cooking. Walt insists they wear masks. Mike makes himself a coffee. As I said, Walt turns to Jesse and says, "I bet he forgets the aluminum guarantee." And I love that, like, just as Victor's about to take off his mask, he pulls the visor back down, and the look of disappointment on Walt's face is great. He's like, "Son of a bitch."
Hmm.
um, we hear a door, and Gus arrives, right? He's got a mean scowl on his face. Doesn't say a word. He descends a spiral metal staircase, and the sound design is kind of really doing all of the talking here. Gus stops and stares at Walt. He says nothing, and he walks straight past him, begins taking off his shoes, and dons a red hazmat suit.
Hmm.
What are you thinking here as a first time viewer of this? What do you think in the next 2 minutes? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I knew nothing was going to happen to Jesse or Walter or Mike, so I assumed Victor was probably going to get the axe. But for someone like Gus to come down off of his tower and literally take the mask off, he takes off the business clothes and puts them on a rack, and he puts on the you know the for lack of a better term, the hands-on kind of clothes. Okay, well, now I've got to get messy, and it's like, there's Gus is never going to cook a gallon of meth or a hit of meth in his life. He's never going to do that. So it's like, if he's putting this thing on, that's not a good sign. And I thought for sure it's like, oh, he's going to like dip Victor's head in that meth and like drown him or something. Like, I knew something's going to go on with Victor. This is not going to be good. But to what? And once he picked up the box cutter, I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, because we'd seen that earlier in the episode. It's like, I knew that was gonna come back. So I knew something was gonna happen to Victor 90%, but at the same time, like, not until I saw the box cutter I was like, "Oh, shit." Like, I thought he was just gonna, like, drown him in some shit or burn his face with, like, acid, but then, yeah, when he actually, like, slits his throat in front of them and then, like, maintains eye contact the entire time. I think that's dope, and it's in a crazy way where it's him, uh, showing like, this is a person who was nothing but loyal to me. This is a person who, like, yeah, they might, like, Victor might have fucked up a little bit, but he didn't fuck up as bad as you guys are fucking up right now. Like, he's somebody who just made a mistake that is a loose end and now has to be tied up. You're somebody who has complicated my business relationships to the nth degree, and now I have to let you fuck me over. It's like, imagine what I'll do to you when I get the chance. It's like, holy shit! Like, it sends a very loud message to Walt and Jesse, which goes with like what Jesse says later at the end of the episode. You know.
Very, very loud message, and it really rattles them. Well, it rattles
Hmm.
Walt at least. I want to point out a couple of things that happen here in this sequence. So Walt again breaks the silence, which I think is really interesting. That on both occasions he's the one to break the silence. Like he's under the impression that he has some control over what's happening, but like I mean that's just such a facade. Like he's got no control in the situation whatsoever. Um, he says he wants to talk about Gale. He says that he was a good man, a good chemist, but I'd shoot him again tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. When you make it about us versus him, Gale loses.
Hmm.
So just again, a very small minor point, but he says I'd shoot him again, like just kind of like taking credit for Jesse's work or Jesse. Like it's just such a Walt thing to do. Is just like really kind of like subsume other people's like, or like
Hmm.
just take that on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, he blames Gail's death on Gus, and as Walt justifies his actions, we get a look in on Gus's face as he's sort of changing, and it seems like there's a hint of a smile on Gus's face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as he's sort of like changing out of his clothes, there's like this look on Gus's face, and you kind of think that you see a little bit of a smile as Walt is just babbling in the background.
Hmm.
Um, he says, "Without us, you have no one to make your product." Victor says he knows every step to his cook. Walt tries to ask Victor questions to throw him off with what I'm pretty sure are just like made up words. Like, you know what I mean? And there's no way like Jesse knows these words. Like these like very like scientific terms. Like Jesse's got, I mean, like I give Jesse a lot of credit, but like there's no way Jesse knows all this fucking techno babble that like Walt is like trying to get Victor to trip up on, you know?
Right. Right.
And of course, all of this is happening while Gus is still changing into the hazmat suit. It's just so unsettling. Like, there's just
Yes.
because it's out of focus, and you just see like movement in the background of him just like changing, and like you just hear the sound design of it. And then once he's done, Gus walks over to the table. Like I said, this is kind of like where you get this like overhead shot. All the characters are where they are. The audience gets a great sense of place where everyone is. He finds the box cutter in a drawer. My favorite shot in this entire episode is the shot to the box cutter as Gus extends the blade, and in the same shot, we kind of like rack focus to Walt as he does it, and like it's just like this look of panic just comes over Walt. It's all in one shot as Gus sort of like extends the blade of the box cutter to make sure the blade is obviously still in there.
Hmm.
Um, it looks gorgeous. And like I said, you start to hear the panic rise in Walt's voice as he explains that the distribution change collapses without them. You kill Jesse, you have nothing. And when he says that, that gets Jesse's attention. That's the
Hmm.
first time Jesse looks at Walt in this entire episode. And you kind of wonder is like this line, like Jesse would probably be feeling very vulnerable right now. You know what I mean? After having just
Hmm.
shot someone in the face. When he says you kill Jesse, you have nothing, it is a little bit of this like, oh, Walt's gonna protect me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it's a little bit like of this um fake sort of like protective figure that Jesse might be wanting to lean on right now because he's got nothing right now. But
Hmm. Well, and
yeah.
I think it's 50-50. I think part of it is definitely genuine, but then there's obviously always that ulterior thing with Walt of, saving his own skin. But I think that Walt is very aware of the amount of misery that he's caused people. He keeps the eye and, as a symbol of, this is the misery that I've caused. So I think with somebody like Jesse, it makes a lot of sense that he I think he really does mostly want to protect Jesse. I think that there's things that he wants to save his own skin, but at the same time, he's definitely got a lot of guilt around. He watched Jesse's partner die. He basically put a lot of pressure on him to go shoot him. He got him beat the fuck up by Tuco. Like he's put Jesse in a lot of precarious situations. And I do think that there's probably a lot of guilt around that at this point. That, yeah, he wants to save his own skin, but at the same time, if Jesse can also be saved, he's more than willing to do that. But if it came down between the two of them, he definitely, I feel like, just send Jesse down the river.
Do you think? Do you think he actually does care about Jesse on an emotional level, or is he saying this because if he loses Jesse, he loses money? He loses access
I
to his empire.
I don't know, because at this point, what Jesse is not necessarily like a liability, but he still isn't really like matured yet. I feel like he's starting to, especially after killing Gale. Um, but I think at this point, Walt knows the business. He's in contact with the people. Like originally, Gus didn't even want Jesse with him. He just wanted Walt. That was it. And he was like, "Well,
Right.
we're a package deal." So I think that he doesn't even really need Jesse at this point. Like technically speaking, they're not the ones distributing it anymore. They don't need to be on the street like selling it. All they really need to do is cook, and Gus takes care of the rest. So I think that he bears a lot of responsibility, rightfully so, because he's ruined this kid's life to a degree. So thus far, he's really like, made a mess of this kid's life by showing up. Who's to say how Jesse's life would have gone if Walt didn't show up? I can't say if it would have been better or worse, but I think that the Jesse would have never found that level of involvement of Gus and Mike and Victor. Like he never would have gotten up that high without Walt. And I don't think that Walt really needs him at this point. So the only other thing I can think of is that he really does like want him around, either out of a sense of guilt or responsibility. But do I think he really likes Jesse? Maybe not.
I agree with you to an extent.
Hmm.
The there's thing because I think the show's done a great job of showing us to this point that Jesse that Walt relies on Jesse during the cook, right? I mean, like that's why and especially like there needs to be chemistry between the cooks. Forgive the pun, but like when last season when Walt is cooking with Gale, there's no chemistry. Like, I mean, like
Mm-mm.
there is chemistry, but there's not chemistry. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same chemistry that Walt wants. Walt, when he works with Jesse, has someone beneath him. He has someone that he is kind of like imparting knowledge over, and like it is kind of creating this like sense of like dominance over like sort of like this underling, which is what
Mhm.
Jesse is to Walt. But Gale was on Walt's level in terms of just like knowledge. Like almost, well, basically, he was like almost there, right? Like he kind of like knew everything that Walt was talking about. And Walt didn't really appreciate that. Walt kind of like, I don't know, like he kind of like didn't see, he kind of like saw Gale more as his equal than Jesse.
Saw him
And
as a
I think,
threat for sure.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Like I'm kind of like, uh, I'm at a bit of a, at this point in the show, what is Walt's motivation for wanting to keep Jesse around?
Mhm.
Is it emotional or is it a business decision? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of this show. I think that's a lot of the because like as we are starting to question the moral compass of Walt, um, like these are the questions that Vince Gilligan wants us to be asking at this point in the
Mhm.
show. I think
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. I agree with that. And I think it's hard to tell at this point. We still got a couple more seasons to figure it out.
that's it. So, all right. Gus walks over in front of Victor, and it's at this point you know that it's over for Victor, right? So
Right.
Gus, in a very quick move, nicks Victor's jugular in a brutal death. He holds
Mhm.
his wound open for the blood to squirt Walt and Jesse. Gus, like we said, does not break eye contact with them. Walt leans back and is horrified, but Jesse leans forward in his chair and he stares
Mm.
straight at Gus. Talk to me, dude. Talk to
No,
me.
yeah, I like that a lot because, Walt has, I mean, he's killed. He ran those guys over in the car, but I mean, this is like he's never actually seen. I feel like a lot of like brutal murder, point blank in splatter range. Like to my knowledge, I might be missing something from the first few seasons, but I don't really.
He strangled the drug dealer in the basement,
Yes. Okay. Never mind. I recant that then. But I
but
think that
nothing
Walt.
like this.
Right. And again, this is it's the ripple. I think Carlos said it really good when we had him on earlier in the show was, Walt is a cancer and this is just another fucking ripple of, you got all those people on the plane killed, Jane's, I think Jane's father committed suicide, didn't he?
Correct.
And then you get Gail killed, now Victor killed. You get Jesse beat up, sent to rehab. Like it's just another victim of your choices. And I think that it's interesting because, it's Jesse who looks at Gus. And I think that, that them locking eyes like that is the reason why at the end, I think, uh, I almost said Bryan Cranston, that Walt feels a little bit more rattled than Jesse because Jesse's like, oh, I know, I picked up very much so what he was putting down, that this was a for lack of a better term, a warning of, don't cross me again, or I'm already, like I said, he's probably already looking for another cook because he doesn't want to deal with this shit. Gail would have never put Gus in a position like that of forcing his hand. And that's something that Gus, he's very measured. He's very controlling. If there's something that guy does not want gone, it's control. And I think that I love that they kind of lock eyes and that Walt is horrified, but Jesse is more of this is the distinction between them of like, yeah, Walt has had his book in a note, his nose in a book his whole life, but Jesse has had his ear to the ground and has seen violence, maybe not to this degree, but he's like, dude, I just shot somebody an hour ago. Like I just killed somebody for the first time. And I did it to save the guy next to me, not even my own skin. So I think it's interesting that they kind of lock eyes and you see it in Gus's face of like, basically, like, you know, you understand what I said, motherfucker? Like, he's definitely got that look on his face of like, I'm not gonna repeat myself. Like this should be the message. And Walt, I don't think gets it, and Jesse totally does. Hence their conversation at the end.
Yeah, I agree. Mike is also worried here. Like Mike is
Yeah, he
also
draws
stunned,
down on him. Yeah.
dude. The shot of a dead Victor on the floor with the blood just pooling around him is so
Hmm.
disturbing. And without a word, Gus goes and washes his hands and face and changes out of the suit, all while Walt and Jesse sit in the stunned silence. And like I said, man, I think this is our first reveal of Gus's sort of like real, true nature. Like up until now, it's been threats and general foreboding from Gus, but now we see what kind of cold and calculating drug lord he truly is.
Hmm.
Um, and he walks back up the stairs, but before he leaves, he turns to the trio and tells them to get back to work. And we cut to this extreme close up of blood just seeping into this drain as Walt and Jesse move to dispose of Victor's body using a barrel of hydrofluoric acid, right? Like they've learned since Crazy 88.
Hmm.
Like, them trying to get his body in the barrel is also about as dark as humor gets. Like, you don't really get. Like, like they're struggling to get his body into the thing, and like Walt looks at Mike for assistance, who kind of just like eventually gives in and gives him a hand like to get his body in the barrel, but like it's so dark, dude.
Hmm.
Um, so this show ended 12 years ago, and the idea of like dissolving a body in acid just still gets to me. Like it's just like, oh, like that is
Mm.
that's that's insane. Imagine
Yeah.
just like never being found. Like your body's just been
You're just
reduced
goo.
to. Yeah, exactly,
Ugh.
exactly. Mike says he's never used this stuff before and asks whether it'll do the job. Jesse says, trust us. They dissolve the body. Walt wipes the prints off and cut to a truck door being closed. Where do you think they're shipping that shit to? They're just gonna dump him in
Yeah,
the desert, like just pour him out.
yeah, I'm because it's like this is wherever this is going. This is not probably staying in America. I don't think so at all. Like this is going across the border, like to a
Oh
place
shit!
that's like I definitely don't think that this is being kept in this is being kept in the states because it's just an of another there's more questions get asked. People are you have a bunch of nosy crackers who just can't keep their fucking they slap on their Nikes and go running through a canyon and find a barrel and
Oh, dude, I
like
was just gonna say, like, literally, just take it to the desert and just pour him out and let him seep into the dirt.
yeah, if he's dissolved enough, yeah, sure. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I could see that because like I think when it shows him them loading it up, like and Walt
Hmm,
spraying it down and wiping it, you can see basically a skull and a spinal cord, like it's
that's
gone.
true.
Like
That's true.
he's
Mm.
mostly gone. So I think that yeah, they could probably just in a few hours, this guy's going to be a McFrosty, and they're just going to dump him in the desert.
Yeah. They're at the Denny's. Jesse's eating and drinking as if nothing's happened. Walt just sits there. And like I said, we're seeing a different angle of Jesse here. He's witnessed death, he's caused death.
Hmm.
All pretty much in the span of like 24 hours, probably less than that, maybe 12 hours. Like this would have a profound effect on Jesse. And like I said, we know they've killed people. Jesse indirectly has sort of like had a hand in that. Like there's never been anything as direct as what he did to Gail. Um, but that obviously that kind of, without giving away any spoilers, causes a bit of a domino effect on Jesse or his sort of like psyche. I love the sizing sticker on Walt's t-shirt, by the way. Like just
Uh
a
huh.
nice little touch.
It took me a minute to
Uh,
catch they're wearing the same thing. Like they both have
yeah,
white jeans and like a Kenny Loggins, Kenny Rogers.
I thought it
I
was
think it's
Kenny
Kenny
Rogers.
Loggins. I don't know.
Shifts in the night we are. Um, Yeah, Walt asks how Jesse's doing. Jesse reacts nonchalantly, tells him that he did the only thing they could do, and they talk about next move, right? Walt still thinks that Gus will still kill them. Jesse queries that Gus had a golden opportunity to kill them just then, right?
Hmm.
Um, Walt thinks he's going to look for another chemist, but Jesse lays that theory to bed. He says it took him years to find Gale. He'll need to find someone he can trust. He lays out some pretty good points here, and I think he kind of sways Walt. Like he kind of like really uh, talks some sense into Walt. He's like, no, I don't think so. I think it took him a really long time to find Gale. I think he's all we've got. Like where he's stuck with us. Blah blah blah. At least now we all understand each other. Him and us, we get it. We're all on the same page. The one that says, if I can't kill you, you'll sure as shit wish you were dead. And the scene ends with Jesse asking for another drink.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I love that. Just his steadfastness, how okay with it he is now.
yep, yep. Um, yeah, you're going to see a very different Jesse in season 4, by the way. I'm so excited for you to see this. Walt arrives back at his place in a taxi, completely new clothing, goes out to his keys, and goes to take out his keys and notices that his car's not on the driveway. Skyler comes out and tells him that she moved his car because Walt Jr. was about to see it and she wanted to avoid any awkward questions. And I love that she doesn't ask what happened, right? Just whether he's
Hmm.
okay. Like she doesn't go into it. She doesn't want to know the details. She thinks that like even though that she takes steps to be at arm's length from Walt's business, like she's still going to be removed from it. But that's not the case at all. Um, and he says, "Yeah, I'm right as rain." And the episode ends with Walt walking 3 blocks to collect his car, and we see the ABQ police processing the crime scene that is Gail's apartment. And the final shot is an absolute doozy. It's
Mm.
Gail's lab notes, baby, just sitting there ripe for the plucking.
Yeah, that's something because I assume that this is probably like I feel like we're gonna get to like some Hank heavy episodes in the next couple episodes because them finding that finding those lab notes and stuff. And I feel like, not that Hank's just gonna like be in a wheelchair driving through crime scenes and stuff, but I definitely think that just him sitting at home, riding away, playing with minerals and shitting in a bucket, I feel like he's gonna want to get more like, okay, I can do stuff from home. Like I want to start checking out stuff like blah blah blah. And I feel like that's if I had to make any kind of assumptions to what's going to happen next, I feel like that's definitely going to be something that kicks Hank in the ass. That in that book, it's going to say something about blue, the blue meth, and that's just going to be he's going to be all over it again. And either way, again, it's another loose end. It's another problem for Gus caused by Walt and Jesse. Had you not killed him, that you never would have found these lab notes. Like blah blah blah. Like I feel like it's going to come back to haunt them. Because it's like this is the kind of TV show that whenever you find it out, like, okay, you jumped through the window, but you landed in a lion's mouth, and now you've got to find a way to get out of this. And like, oh, I went through the lion's asshole, and now I'm falling into a bottomless pit. And it's like, God
Domino
damn, dude,
effect,
it just
baby.
never stops. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Yep.
I'm excited to continue going. And it's a hell of a shot to end on with the beginning of this season.
Hell yeah, man! I'm glad you ended it there. I'm glad you laid out some predictions for some upcoming episodes because we're in for a hell of a ride with season 4. That's box cutter. That's the premiere of season 4. I'm glad that we're back to doing this. I'm glad that we're back to recording. I'm glad that we're going to be a bit more consistent with this, and as we move into Sopranos as well. Colin, do you have anything else to say before we head off?
No, just thank you guys for your immense patience as we, basically took over a year to get the next season started, which is hilarious because I went back and listened to full measures and it's like, dude, promise there won't be this much of a gap. And it was
I
even
know.
longer than the last one. And I was like, what a
I
fucking
know.
stupid cunt. But no, we finally, we just had a lot of life shit happen as you guys like. We've had family members get sick, buying houses, marriages. I got laid off from my job. Like I had family members get sick. Like it's just been a crazy through trying to get through the holidays and stuff. It has been absolutely nuts. So it's nice to get back on track and hopefully get some syncopated schedules so we can start, get cracking and finishing up the main feed, starting Sopranos, and then wrapping up Bad Crystal because we've only got this season and next season.
That's it. Yeah,
Nice.
we're kind
Hell
of we're the finish line is in sight, which is
yeah.
kind of wild, man. Because when we started this, we were like, "This is going to take us a while," and it definitely did. But I mean, for the finish line to be in sight, like wow. But there's a lot of
Yeah.
TV still left to go. There's a lot of discussion still left to go, and we're
Mhm.
excited to do it. So yeah, man, this has been season 4, episode 1 of Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.